Hey everyone, Disappointed Giant here. Welcome to another long play. We got ourselves a brutality run here. I feel like my old man memory or lack of is kicking into gear. I remember how this run ends. I don't remember what happens like after the prisoners' quarters up until like towards the end of the game, which I guess makes this more exciting because this is going to be a little bit of a discovery for all of us. But I hope everybody's well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chilling. Thanks again to everyone who commented on my last video. It's been a bit since I kind of been around. Got a lot of positive feedback, and folks were glad that I put another video. So hopefully this scratches. Hopefully this scratches the same itch, and that you guys or that you folks enjoy this one too. Yeah, so like I said, we got ourselves a brutality run here. It ends kind of fun, so you can tell from the thumbnail there's no surprises here. I end up taking both the Hayabusa gauntlets and the Hayabusa boots into endgame. It's pretty sweet. You get like the full Ninja Gaiden build, right? So it's not just one or the other. I use them both in tandem, and they don't like sync up together, right? So Hayabusa boots, what it does is you have 3 hits, right? So the first 2 hits are just regular kicks, and then the third one has a small flip and like an AoE. So think of something, Wave of Denial is probably the best analogy. So think of something like Wave of Denial. Little bit of a pushback for enemies nearby. It will knock back bombs, and I feel I always use the same two examples. It'll knock back bombs, so like Hand of the King, disgusting worms in the sewers, etc. But they're pretty fun. And then the Hayabusa gauntlets are fist. Obviously, it's a fist weapon, and those do like the damage isn't great. But what happens is after you get, I think, you get an enemy down to 40% of their health, they'll start taking crits, and the crits are fine, but it's fun. It's a fun weapon. I like pairing it with melee, and it feels really good when you fight a boss and then you just start critting all the way through the end. So that's pretty sweet. So anyways, that's how the run ends. How does the run begin? More importantly, how does the run begin? So I grabbed Valmont's whip out of the tube. This is, or I should say, out of the tubes. This is, I've kind of used this phrase a few times. I feel like it's a weapon that just sort of gets lost, right? So there's a lot of great weapons in the game, and Brutality's got a ton. It's got a ton of good stuff, whether it's, something like Blood Sword or baseball bat, flint. Like, there's a lot of things that folks use, even the range stuff, right? So throwing knives, firebrands, all that stuff. And there's tons. There's tons of weapons. But I feel like Valmont's whip is something that gets lost, right? It doesn't do anything flashy. It does one thing. It does it pretty well. When I just said that, it reminded me of like Torch, right? Torch does one thing, does it great. Blood Sword does one thing, does it great. But Valmont's whip. So the name Valmont, it's a pun on Belmont, right? So think of Castlevania. It's a pun on that, but Valmont is actually the nickname of Johan Lowland, who is the dude who did the soundtrack for all of the Dead Cells levels, right? So the originals, all the DLCs, Bank, Distillery, everything. Dude's out of control, but his nickname is Valmont, so this item is named after him. It's been in the game for quite a while, so I don't know exactly which update. Trying to think, I'm not sure exactly which update it came in. It's been around since at least 1.0, so we're talking early access 1.0, whatever it might be, which as of this recording was, oh my god, I think the game came out of early access, was it 6.5 years ago? Was it 7.5 years ago? I'm pretty sure it was 2018. It's 2026 now, in case you're listening to this and watching this way in the future. It's pretty wild. But anyways, game's been out for a very long time. Johan's been a part of it since the beginning, and this weapon's named after him. So the way that this works is, as I use it, you'll see it's got like a pretty long hitbox, if you want to call it that. It's got like a pretty long length with the weapon. The gimmick, that's not the gimmick. I'd say it's more of the mechanic. So the mechanic is whatever, if you hit an enemy with the very tip of it, it will do a crit. Crits do pretty good damage. Normal damage, again, sort of like I was saying with the Hayabusa gauntlets or whatever, it's just fine. But it's really fun to try to position yourself to get those crits. I think I'll point it out. Like you can see here, I'm trying to like roll away from the enemy a bit. Let me see if so I'm trying to like get in there, trying to like move over a little bit. But it's fun. It's like a nice little mechanic. Since it is a whip and you get some distance, unlike most melee items, those spinies there, you're not going to take any damage from them. And it's just a pretty cool weapon. Again, I feel like it's just something, I don't know, maybe you can let me know in the comments, when's the last time you used Valmont's whip on purpose? Right? When was the last time you bought one from a shop? When was the last time you got one out of a chest and was like, oh man, I love Valmont's whip, right? And that's not that's a joke. It's not shaming everyone, because I do the same exact thing. I just, like I said, it gets lost. It's not something that gets used a lot. So I was excited to take it out of the tubes. Talking about the rest of our kit, we have oil grenade. It's nice. I feel it's actually, I don't know, I feel like oil grenade's like a little bit slept on too, especially for tactics builds, right? Because it's a brutality tactics grenade, which I don't think there's a lot of those, right? I know Swarm is technically a grenade. That's tactics only. Same thing with the, I almost said electric grenade, magnetic grenade. But I think oil grenade might be the only tactics brutality. Like it's like a mix, right? So you can kind of use it with either build. I like it. I like it a lot. I feel like it does a good amount of damage. If I were to put I don't have the wiki open in front of me. If I were to put like a general gauge between the grenades, I'd say it's sort of like halfway between maybe powerful grenade and infantry grenade, right? So it does enough damage, especially later on in the run, to take a bunch of enemies out in one hit. Has like a really nice area of effect. It's great for areas where there's a bunch of small enemies and bats, right? So promenade, certain areas of sanctuary. Ooh, by the way, did you see that? See those iframes? If you run up a wall and you end up getting like vaulting up, I forget what the actual word is, but like with the movement as you get pulled up the wall, if you hit spikes like that, it's not gonna do any damage to you, which is pretty sick. But oil grenade's fun, right? So like you can see there, it just took out one of the little, what are they called, jerk shrooms. Took out one of the jerk shrooms in one hit. I'm probably going to use it here against these bats. Yep, there you go. So it's pretty good. And like I said, I like it in general. I like taking it with tactics builds, but it also has like a really nice spread of oil, right? Pair it with whatever, fire grenade, holy water is another one. You can spread burning oil pretty quickly with it. So like, yeah, look at this. All of those platforms, I'm pointing, you can't see me. All of those platforms have oil on it just from a couple of throws. So that's working out. I got light speed that drops from Timekeeper. I'm sorry about that. I just hit my mic. Drops from Timekeeper on the first kill. It's pretty cool. You know, I like how it maneuvers you. Like I'm trying to see like when I use it again. You'll see it when I use it, kind of like zips you around. And then I'm not going to call it the star of the build. One of the more unique aspects of the build is, oh, there you go. And I decide to recycle Wolf Trap. I use it all the time. So I wanted to take something else, even though it was a legendary. It's quite good. I just decided to chuck it. I put Spartan sandals in the backpack. So I'm pretty sure, I know I did this. So a long time ago, whenever it was, Modesto and I did a video together, and we threw legendary Spartan shields in the backpack, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So once I saw Spartan sandals in the 30 door between the prisoners' quarters in here, I decided to grab it, and I chose to put it in the backpack. So you can see as you roll into enemies, it's going to push them back. It's not going to push them back super far. The legendary affix is it will push enemies back further than normal. So if you're going to try that out, I think the legendary version is going to be better than putting the regular one in the backpack with Porky Pack. But it's still fun. It's still fun. So you'll see as I kind of go through the levels, I'm trying to I'm going to try to bump enemies into the spiked walls, right? So certain generations, like the one that I almost got tagged in, where I had the iframes when I mantled up over the ledge there. There's a bunch of spiked walls on the sides of the generation here, and I was like, well, maybe I can just... Oh, boom. Time out. I just got a random Philosopher's Stone drop. It dropped so quick. It dropped so quick, and I picked it up so fast I didn't even realize what happened. So if you go back and watch again, you'll notice I grab it in midair, and then I stop. I look at the amount of money. I'm like, what is, oh my God, 75,000? Oh my God, that was a Philosopher's Stone. I didn't know what it was. It just took me a moment to like realize. It took me a moment to realize exactly what just happened. So that's incredible. So I don't know the numbers exactly. I'm not sure what the odds are for that happening, but it is incredibly rare. It's incredibly rare. I forgot, I mentioned it in one of my videos a long time ago where I had some footage. I think maybe I've gotten 6, 7, 8 of those total in my entire time playing Dead Cells. If I'm being generous, maybe 10. I don't know. Super, super rare. Super rare. But I grabbed one here. So what I'll normally do is a lot of start enemies have scrolls. So as you saw, I killed the start enemy and I immediately pressed the pickup button because I was like, oh, it's just a regular scroll. But it was not. It was not. So the good luck, the good luck continues. I should have also mentioned that I got a good dual stat. So as you can see, my stats are at 7, 1, and 1. Health is quite low. Oh, look at that. Look at that oil grenade. Oh, and I also think that the oil grenade has enemies burn when they die, which immediately will spread oil, burning oil, as you saw there. So that's also quite sick. But yeah, so we got the Philosopher's Stone. Surprise, surprise. That is a great omen. It's a good omen. This run actually does go well. It's funny, I was when I rewatched my last video, because I'll do that. I'll just make sure all the audio's good and this and that or whatever, and then I skim on YouTube to make sure there's no transfer upload errors or whatever. But I watched it and I remember like towards the beginning I was like, oh, this run's pretty good, you know, it's a fun run, whatever, and like I got owned. I got totally owned at the beginning of that run, and as far as I remember, I don't really get owned here. There might be a little bit of some hairy situations in the prison depths, but I actually think this may be a good run. So as I was talking about before I got incredibly distracted by that Philosopher's Stone, I have the Spartan sandals in the backpack. Again, I'm going to try to, every once in a while, just roll into enemies to get them to bounce back. I had thought coming into this, again, just thinking about the amount of spikes that are on the sides of the levels, I figured, hey, I might be able to bounce some dudes around, get some extra damage. And like you can see, it's doing a little bit of work. It's not crazy. You know, there are definitely, I'm doing air quotes here, there are definitely better mutations that I could have picked, of course, right? The usual Predator combo, open wounds, vengeance, whatever, gastronomy, etc. But I wanted to do that. So, and there we go. So we got ourselves a relatively clean, I think is the right word. It's a relatively clean Arboretum clear. I'm coming out of there with 94% health. I got less than 2 malaise, and I ate malaise food before I bounced. So one of those bars is because of the food. So overall, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with that. It was a pretty good clear. Oh, and the other thing, the affix on, jumping over this, right? Nope, we're not doing bank. No way. The affix on Spartan sandals, we're going to be getting an additional 100% to poison, which is always welcome. Or excuse me, it creates a toxic cloud. So always welcome to get a possible poison synergy here. So as I do, sometimes as I see the curse, in any curse, you know, but especially here in the corrupted prison, I'm having trouble jumping back in. That's really funny. I'll jump through this little hole in the wall there, scout ahead, make sure that there's no elites or anything like that, and then I'll come back in, get the curse, more prepared for what's ahead of me. And in order to do that, you gotta like jump double jump like away from the wall a little bit and then roll. So you can see I struggled a little bit here. So I'm just gonna, I think I take this curse a little bit more, carefully, and I'm gonna bounce down a lot here. Yeah, so I do remember this a little bit. There you go, using my porky pack to knock that barrel launcher, or the infected worker. Gonna be bouncing him into the wall a little bit. Get another curse clear, and I don't love this. Because we have there's a masker, right? So you can see there on the left, some of the area is a little bit the word I just thought of was obfuscated. That is absolutely not the right word, but that's what I'm going to use. Cloudy area, so I wasn't able to see there. Get a little bit anxious when it comes to curses here in the prison depths, specifically for that. That's one of the big reasons this biome is quite tough. Very difficult. Based on where it is in the run, based on the types of enemies here, it's just hard. Enemies hit hard. I feel like generally you're not really scaled up to handle this level as well as you could have if this was a little bit later. And I say you know, me, us, whatever it is, right? Got ourselves a sick parry on that rampager, hiding behind the masker there. That was great. But yeah, Prison Depths is hard. You know, some people like to skip it altogether. You know, you do get that first curse. Oh, so what I should have done there, I went by that so quickly. There was a double damage oiled sword that I just went right by. I don't know what the other affixes is. I'm going to rewatch this after I finish. If it had 100% to burning oil, I'm going to be kicking myself for days. Man, I would have loved to have. I don't know why I didn't stop. I don't know why I didn't take that. Maybe because I wanted to keep Valmon's whip and the run's kind of cruising. I have no idea, but man, if that would have been quite awesome, because we're getting that burn. Enemies burn after they die with the burning oil. And there might be burn on my shield too. Let's take a, I don't know. Oh, there it is. So I do get owned a little bit. But there might be burn on my shield too. I'm not positive, but either way, big miss. So the lesson we learn here is, even if you love your build and you're trying to do something, take your time. Take your time in the shop. Don't just burn through it like I just did, right? And I healed here. I decided to heal instead of pushing through. I think there's one good food on the map, maybe, or there's a Malaise food. I think there's a small food on the map somewhere. But I decided to heal. Malaise is getting a little bit annoying. So I wanted to heal. You know, I had 30 whatever % health, and I did not want to lose the run. I wanted to keep it, what do I always say? Just want to keep on rolling. Wanted to keep it rolling, right? Whatever it is. So I decided to heal there. Sort of like I mentioned in my last video, there is no shame in healing early. Doesn't matter, right? Prisoner's Quarters prom here, doesn't matter. And like I said, especially this level is a little tough. But yeah, some folks do like to skip this level, and I can understand why, right? So you get that extra scroll if you come here. But it's hard. Like I was saying, this is a hard level, and if you luck out, right? So it's almost like, if you think about, if you get a good dual stat, if you get a challenge riff, if you get both before you come here, you're kind of at the same level, if you want to say that, right? You're at the same sort of build level that you would have been at if you took this level to get the extra scroll too. So there's no harm and no shame in skipping this, as long as, again, you know, recommendation, if you get an extra scroll somewhere along the way, bounce. Bounce. This level's not great. But we did it. We did all right. Again, you know, took a few really big hits there. Ended up healing once, trying to get our Malaise down, and I used the key here to take Bat Volley. So I think what my mindset was here, and this is, again, talking about like old man memory, like I just played this run like 3 days ago. It might have been like 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know. I feel like I actually need to look at the files. When was this? Monday, Friday. Yeah, so it was like 4 days ago. Yeah, so I think my initial sort of vibe was to go through this and end up taking stuff I usually don't take. Again, Valmont's Whip, whatever. I don't really like Bat Volley. I think when I ranked it in a tier list, I gave it like my first tier list. I think I used it. I think I put it in the rarely category. I think my last tier list, I put it in a D. I think I gave it a D for disappointing, but I chose to take it here because I think I just wanted to see, like, all right, can I get some good use out of this, right? Is there anything that I can do here with it to, like, maybe showcase some tech or whatever? So I decided to take it. I gave up, unfortunately, I gave up the oil grenade for it. So in retrospect, the two things I would have done was, number one, you slow down in the shop, take another look at that oiled sword, right? Probably would have grabbed that. And then number two, what would I have done for number two? Probably not gotten rid of that oil grenade. Probably would have kept it, right? So let's take a look at Bat Volley here. So it reminds, oh, there you go, Spartan Sandals bumping dudes off the platform. Feels good. Get that dark tracker out. Get him out. But yeah, so Bat Volley reminds me of a worse Death Orb. I feel like that's kind of a pretty good assessment of it. So as you can see, when you use it, you open the cape and these bats come out. So there's like a few problems with it, right? So let's break it down step by step. So number one, my main problem with this item, or the main problem with this item, is the amount of time it takes to get going. So when you press the button, you have to open the cape and you will get stuck. I think you get horizontally stuck, so you can't move left or right. You're planted in place there. You can see it right there, whatever it is, a half a second, third of a second, 3/4 of a second. However long it is, it may not be a long time in the scheme of things. If you were to zoom out, and think about how long your life is, 3/4 of a second or half a second is not a long time. But in the middle of a Dead Cells run, that can be the difference between a successful run and an unsuccessful run. So first problem with it, it's slow, right? That the initial vibe trying to get it out is very slow. The second thing is the trajectory of the bats. So again, thinking about Death Orb, that is, if you haven't used it or you're not familiar with it, it's a green survival skill. And what it does is it will, sort of like how the bats do it here, it will make its way. Do I take Giant Killer here? This is exactly the vibe. I'm like, let me do things I normally don't do. So I grab Giant Killer, which is another item I don't love. So the trajectory, right? So Death Orb, when you use it, it goes horizontally across the screen, right? It doesn't go up and down. It has like a pretty big hitbox, and I think it's really solid. It's something that kind of gets lost a little bit. I think it's a great item. So it's a similar mechanic, but the problem I have with the bats is the trajectory. So you'll see that I'll do it again, probably here. Yeah. So you'll see that there's a wave. That's actually quite perfect. So you see that like the way that they come out, it's kind of like up and down, right? It's not consistent. It's not like a straight line. The hitbox of the bats is where it is. So if you go back a few seconds, go back 15, 20 seconds if you want, look at what happened with that disgusting worm or whatever those things are called. Hey, we got ourselves another dual scroll, right? So that's 3. 2 dual scrolls and a Philosopher's Stone. It's a very good run. If you go back and look, the trajectory of the bats, it like kind of like goes like a sine wave, and it goes over, there it is again, right? It goes over stuff, and the hitbox is where the bats are. So you can see that there are times when it will just miss an enemy, right? It, like I said, it kind of missed, and you'll see there some of the bats just go right through enemies. So that's my second problem with it. That's the second problem with it. My third problem is it just doesn't do enough damage, right? So if this thing shredded, right? So if this thing came out and it did a ton of damage, but took a little while to get going, the hitbox kind of like moves around a little bit, I think it'd be great. Thinking about what that might feel like. A, B, right? Take it sometimes, take it often, however you wanna qualify it. But as is, yeah. See, look at that. It's just not doing enough damage. So that's why, in a long-winded explanation, that's why I do not like Bat Volley. So I end up just taking a big hit there. So slashers are tough, right? I luck out. I get some food. It's going to get me out of the red, right? I think the red comes in when you have whatever it is, 35, might be 35, 39% health or whatever. You get the red on the side of the screen. That's basically like, hey man, hey man, either eat some food or heal because this is going sideways. So I get myself out of the red there. Doing a little bit of tricky maneuvering here. These shockers, they're AoE. It's always the same size, but you know it could be a little bit tricky to avoid. I do like sort of finding where that area is, trying not to panic, just sort of staying in that one spot on the side where it's not going to hit me. Wait, address what I have to, and then come in during the downtime to take them out. What else do we got? So I bought Giant Killer. So again, let's complain. Let's step aside from our normal positivity and let's complain a little bit. So Giant Killer's another one. I don't love it. I think I actually do pretty well with it here. I don't think I have a lot of issues with it. I know I don't keep it for a long time. I think I might switch it out when I get one of the Hayabusa items. I'm not positive. Yeah, see, there you go. So the bats went right through that spawner or whatever they're called, and that thing doesn't really have a lot of health. So another cool fact, the health of the spawner, you can see it based on how much liquid is liquid the right word? Ooze, goo, whatever you want to call it. Based on how much is in there. I think I heal again. Yeah. Based on how much is in there, that's how much health it is. And whenever it spawns a corpse juice, it actually it loses a little bit of health. So if you ever play on assist mode and you drop enemy health to 80%, those things immediately explode right when they push out one of the corpse juice, which I think is kind of a cool thing. But yeah, so Giant Killer. So not a huge fan of it. Again, I think I do pretty decently with it, but let's see what happens. But yeah, so the way that this item works, right? So it's really strange because all it does is it does crits on bosses or elites, which is pretty good. It's like pretty decent. It's weird that you can't put it in the backpack for some reason, right? So it's almost like it's so powerful that like Evil Empire, it was Evil Empire. They didn't want you to put it in the backpack. And for a while it's like, okay, but it doesn't make any sense. Again, it's not like it's this super OP thing and like you put it in the backpack and you roll through things and you're just destroying stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just fine. So yeah, so it's a little strange in that way. The attack string, maybe, is that the right word? The attack sequence is a little bit slow. So the first two hits, and we'll look at this more like as it happens. The first two hits, here's another curse that I'm going to be taking very, very carefully here. First two hits are slow. Or excuse me, the first two hits are pretty quick. So you'll notice it kind of comes out like a regular sort of brutality, melee, kind of like general speed or whatever. The third hit, you'll notice that the character will jump up in the air and almost like swing the sword over his shoulders. So that leaves you exposed, right? So there you go. So it's like two quick hits, and then the third. Am I going to do it here? Probably not. I think I'm just going to try to clear the curse here. That third hit is slow. It's way slower. This is dangerous. This is some dangerous movement. Just trying to like get a little bit of space here, so I can get out of this curse without losing the run. But that third hit's slow. Kind of like swings up, swings over, and then the fourth hit is like a thrust, or it's like a jab, if you want to call it. So I'm not sure as far as damage values. I personally notice that if and when I do use this item, am I going to get something with this? No. I had to use the there it is. So you see that big third hit, it's a big swing. And then the fourth hit's a thrust. So I feel like the fourth hit is the one that does the most amount of damage compared to the rest of the swings. But in order to get there, you got to get through that third hit. So I'm going to grab a flask here, right? Yep, got plenty of money. Because of that Philosopher's Stone, I could buy food whenever. I can buy food whenever the hell I want. It's beautiful. But yeah, in order to get to that fourth big good hit, it does take a little bit of there you go. So there's that big third swing again. It takes a little bit of positioning and again maybe a little bit of crowd control, so that way you can ensure that the enemies aren't going to tag you as you're in the middle of that hit. Something else I should have mentioned about the Bat Volley is its mechanic is it will do critical damage after it goes through an enemy. So if you have two enemies side by side, as it goes through the first enemy, the bats will hit the second enemy and those will do crits. Like, so once they pass through, it'll be all crits. Again, it's not like the crits are insane. The crits are not notable. So I feel like it doesn't really matter, but that is one of the mechanics of it. So yeah, so here we go. So how's my build, right? I picked up a colorless punishment out of the curse chest. I love punishment. It's a very good shield. Gets yourself some nice AoE damage when you parry with it. And then I picked up lacerating ore a while ago. You've seen me use it 100 times, so it's nothing really special here. And I think I might grab, yeah, I'm gonna take grappling hook. There we go. Bat volley. Thanks, but no thanks. We'll see you around. We'll see you another time. And I grab infantry grenade. So here we go. So this is definitely a run where I'm like, let me put a spotlight on some of the stuff that I don't really use. So we grabbed infantry grenade. It is a very weak grenade with a very short cooldown. Something else I should mention, I had taken open wounds coming in here. Open wounds makes enemies bleed, and I had plus 60 to bleeding on, I think I had it on everything. Yeah, so you can see I had it on the Spartan sandals. I had it on the Valmont's whip. I may have, what else? I may have had it on, I don't even know. I don't even know, but yeah, so we're doing some weird stuff. So going into Concierge, I think I might take Killer Instinct too. Let's see what I do here, but I decide to take Scheme, which is the first mutation I took. After using a skill, your next melee attack will do plus whatever damage it is. I think it's a flat number. It's not a percentage based. The second skill I took was Initiative, which means the first hit against an enemy does extra damage. So, and the final piece here is the grappling hook, where when you use a grappling hook, it will do, your next hit does an additional percentage damage. I don't know if it's 300 across the board or what. I forget what the exact percentage is. Maybe we can take a peek if I show it in the in my build again. So the idea here is to use grappling hook, which triggers Scheme. And then it's not going to happen here against Concierge because you can only do it once. But basically, you grapple an enemy in, you get the damage bonus from Scheme, and then you get the damage bonus from Initiative, and then the additional damage from grappling hook. So that's the idea here, is to try to maximize damage. If you watch, right, so after I use the grappling hook, right there, boom. So there's like a bigger chunk on that first hit, and then the second hit's a little bit lower. So I'm seeing some good damage off of that little combo there. And you can see there, boom, 3. There you go. So the third and fourth hit on the Giant Killer are doing some decent work. And then my Concierge fight falls apart. Huh? I almost lost it there. So I take back. I take back what I said. I guess I'm getting owned a little bit here too, right? All right, so I'm going to take Meat Skewer. Giant Killer was fine enough. I was definitely a little salty after that, seeing it was almost like I took that one hit and then I took like 3, including that one, 3 back to back or whatever it was. So yeah, I guess I am getting owned a little bit here, right? And I feel like that's part of the pattern. So I don't know if it's all my runs. I don't know if it's just the runs that I'm recording. And like, because I'm recording them, I'm thinking about it. Maybe it's coincidence. I don't know. But I feel like the runs that I put on my channel, it's like the first half, I just get destroyed. I get destroyed, right? But hey, whatever. I know we make it through. We're going to clear this out. We're going to do good. It's not a big problem. But yeah, I guess I'm getting owned a little bit. So I think I go Stilt here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I'm going to go Stilt here. Again, I got a couple of good dual stats. So the smaller amount of scroll fragments here on 4 and 5BC. It's not that big of a deal. I feel like I made it up on the front end with those extra scrolls that I got from the duel. So coming to Stilt Village. Another reason why I wanted to come here is that there is a food shop here. So I'm going to try to get that second flask back that I used. You'll see there I just did nice parry with the punishment. Does a good little AoE there. Get rid of those bats immediately. But yeah, so that's the reason why I came here, or the couple of reasons, right? So we're looking at I have a little bit of extra cushion from those good scrolls, so I don't mind losing out a bit here. I want to come to the food shop. I'm gonna buy big food, and I'm gonna buy the flask. Again, I'm swimming in money here. I get $42,000 and I'm only on the 4th level or whatever it is, right? And the other reason I decided to come here is because I wanted to go through a level that's like a little bit faster. So when you look at all the tier 4, I don't know exactly what the correct what the correct terminology is here. But when you look at all of these levels that are on the same tier, right? So we're looking at Stilt Village, Fractured Shrines, Slumbering Sanctuary, and Graveyard. There's an argument to be had here that Stilt Village is the quickest to get through. There's like 2 or 3 of these big structures. There's a couple doors you need to make your way through, but it's very dense. It's very dense. It's a dense level. The enemy density is pretty high, so it doesn't take a long time to sort of blow through. So sometimes when I do long plays that I know that I will or that I want to put on the channel, I'll take Stilt just because I want to like cut some of the time out. Again, what are we looking at here? 39. Yeah, so I think this video is also like 75 minutes. So I wanted to cut a little bit out if I could. So we're taking Stilt. After I went through the Concierge fight, I changed my mutations again. The other mutation I took, I know I talked about grappling hook and scheme and initiative a lot. The other mutation I took was What Doesn't Kill Me, because it is a amazing healing mutation regardless of color. You end up getting, I think the base percentage is like 2.2% with 1 survival stat. So it's a survival parry mutation. It'll heal you on every parry. It'll heal you on every parry from a different enemy. And then it refreshes after 30 seconds. So to use it against a boss, you got to clear through you got to be in that fight for 30 seconds for it to proc again. But any new enemy, it will work on. So I love that. I gave it an S in my last tier list. I think it's incredible, absolutely incredible. The next video that I do want to do, I tried recording a couple this week, and I got owned. I lost like 3 or 4 runs. And it's funny because there were survival runs, right? So you'd think that more HP and more healing would be more beneficial, but no, I got destroyed. And I'm actually going to, as I'm going through here, I'm going to put a clip over of one of the deaths that I took while I was trying to get the footage for that. It's very funny. It's very careless. So you can see that right there. But yeah, so I'm going to go into it more. The plan for that run is to, kind of go over some of the survival mutations that I don't really use a ton, because I don't really play survival a ton, I think is a better way to put it. So I'm going to kind of go through that, talk more about what mutations I do prefer to take early on in a run, which ones I think you should wait until later, all of that. But I took What Doesn't Kill Me here on a brutality build because, again, that base healing is quite good. I think I probably got it to proc a couple times during that Concierge fight, but incredible. Very, very, very good mutation. And then here we go. So I think I'm going to go back up. This looks familiar. I think I'm going to go back into this lore room to show, like, yep, here's a mimic. So at some point, if you see this little guy in the lore room, there is a mimic in the level. But there's also a mechanic where a mimic cannot spawn behind a door. So the food shop, as you saw, it was behind a door. It wasn't just a regular shop on the map. The weapon and or skill shops, whatever's here, it's all behind a door. So even though this level is mimicked and there should be a shop that has a mimic in it, I'm not going to see it here in Stilt Village. So if you ever see that in your playthrough with Stilt Village, you're not going to get mimicked, which is good and bad depending on your vibe, right? It's good if you do not want to deal with the mimic. It's bad if you're looking for items that are going to be a little bit higher quality, since I think it bumps it up to two gear levels. So if this is like a 9, it would be an 11 or whatever it is, right? But yeah, so the other thing I wanted to mention too about the survival build, it's already gone. Oh my god, it's already gone. Oh, it's amazing, huh? Oh, I know what it was. So the other thing I was going to do with that, or I am going to do with that eventual survival video, here we go. I think I'm going to grab the gauntlets, right? Yeah, I'm going to grab the gauntlets here. That's going to start to shape the rest of the run. I'm going to do something, and here we go. I'm like, do I want both? I get both. There we go. So those are the items I'm going to use to the end. Spoiler. That's it. No more weapon changes. But a while ago, I know I mentioned this like a long time ago. Daniel has a series that he used to do called Wish Adventures. And I can't remember how many videos are in the series. I don't remember if it was just a few, if it was longer or whatever. But the idea behind those videos was to take Wish into, Ancient Sewers, because that level has level 9 gear in it. So Stilt has level 9, as you saw, but Ancient Sewers is before the first boss, and it has a really good gear level. You can get through the game with level 9 gear. It's not a problem. But what he did is he would take Wish, go into Ancient Sewers, and then pick an item that comes up in the shop, and then use that to the end, right? So you take a legendary item using Wish, you bring it all the way to the end. So that was one of the things I wanted to do, or I will do with those that survival run that I was just mentioning there. So one of my jokes is I like to say that survival is best played when you use a non-survival weapon. So I'd probably end up getting something fast, or whatever it is. We'll see when that video actually comes out, after I'm able to complete a run. We'll see what happens. Here, what I'm doing here is I'm changing hold to attack here. It's a great thing where if you have 2 items, you put the item that is quicker on the left side, and you put the item that's slower on the right, so that way if you hold both buttons it will alternate. So think of like Giant Killer was pretty slow. Think of having ice shards in your left hand and Giant Killer in the right. If you hold them both down, you're just going to constantly chuck them both out. It's actually quite good. Something great to take with Kill Rhythm. Again, another survival mutation. It's percentage based, so you can take it off color if you choose to. So I was just testing there to see, all right, could I get both the fists and the boots to come out in sequence back to back, but the attack animations are too long, so it didn't work either way. But that's just what I did there. Just kind of like feeling it out. And we go Clock Tower. So generally, preference-wise, I usually fly through the Sepulcher when I take my runs. On 2BC and higher, there's a door there to the cavern, so you can go straight to Giant, which means you can skip High Peak Castle or Distillery or whatever you want to do, and go straight from Giant to Hand of the King. I like to do that again, similar to Stilt Village. Either if I have a good build and or I kind of want to speed things up a little bit, I will do that. But I decide to go Timekeeper here. I don't often come this way. I don't take Clock Tower a ton, so I wanted to do it here. Again, I kind of feel like the vibe here is not necessarily like, hey, these are things I never do ever, let me do it now. It's more like, oh, here's stuff that I don't use a lot, or things that I'd like to experiment with outside of my normal play style. The other thing too is I'm loaded. I've been loaded with cash. Again, I afforded $44,000 of stuff, right? Because I got two flasks, so that's $20,000 a piece. I bought a large food, so that's an extra $4,000. So right there we got 44. And then I also bought the gauntlets and the boots. So we're looking at whatever it is, 4,600. It doesn't matter. Take your calculator out, go back and figure it out if you want. But I've been spending a ton of money, and I still have a bunch of stuff here. So that opens up the possibility for me to try different things and change my mutations more than I normally would. You know, one of my recommendations for newer players, I can't remember exactly what I said in my mutations guide video, but like kind of the vibe is like you're going to want to pick mutations that you don't need to reroll all the time, right? So going into a boss, you know, one of the things that might be helpful is to take something that would be good for the boss, and then like the first boss, and then maybe, so what you do is roll off your mutations before the first boss, roll off the boss mutations you chose for the second boss, and then if you can, you know, kind of think about the end of the game, like, all right, let me see if I can stretch this out, take mutations after the first boss. Can I get through the second boss with this? It just saves you some money, right? Mutation costs increase, so goes from 1,000 to 2,000 to 4,000, and then every single reroll after that is 8,000. So if you're like, hey, I want to reroll after every level, at some point you're going to be spending 8,000 bucks after every map, and I feel like that's just a lot. That's just a lot. But because I have so much money, it gave me the option to do that and not worry about it, right? So I've already changed my mutations it's been 4 times or something like that, and that's not normally something I would do. So money's good. Money's good, right? Recycle stuff. Cross your fingers for Philosopher's Stones. Don't buy a ton of stuff. Don't reroll your mutations all the time, and you'll be swimming in money by the end of the game, which I feel like is going to be really beneficial, right? So that way you can buy higher quality gear. You can reroll your affixes more, right? So if you're looking for that juicy combo of plus 60 to bleeding and plus 80 to poison, you get a few more extra bucks to kind of like see if you can make it, you know, swing it or whatever. But yeah, so there we go. So what was that? I don't even know what I was talking about. You know what's great? The best thing, not the best thing, but a great thing is, you know, I have a group of really engaged and personable and fun viewers that I've commented with for a very long time. And it's great because I know people who come here, whether you comment or not, if you've been here for a little while, you understand. You understand my vibe. You know that sometimes I go down a rabbit hole and I'm here and I'm there, and then I stop and I'm like, wait, what was I talking about? What was I talking about? So let's bring it back, right? Let's bring it back to the run a little bit here. So we're taking Clock Tower. Again, it's not something I do all the time because you're forced to fight Timekeeper. And I'm trying to aggro this elite here. Oh, look at that. That was beautiful. Grappling Hook's still doing some good work here. I threw the infantry grenade down there to aggro the elite, brought him right up to my level, and then just 2 punches, 1 or 2 punches, got him out of here. Get him out. Let's go. The other thing, so like I mentioned, got ourselves another legendary. I think this might be the second. I know it's at least the second map legendary that we got. We got the Wolf Trap. I recycled it. I'm thinking about the multi-nox bow here, but I'm just like, nah, man. I want to keep the theme of the Hayabusa build. So, decide to recycle it again. Am I gonna look here? Yeah, what I do is I just take a quick peek to see gear level. I see it's a 10 instead of a 9. I got 9s. Even though I have money, I decide not to roll and try to change what I have. I'm totally fine with what I have here. Mutation-wise, I got open wounds again. I don't remember what my exact synergy is on either or both of the Hayabusa items. We can take a look once I get... I'm pretty sure I'm going to look. I would hope that I'm going to look after this before I go to Timekeeper. So we'll take a look together, see if I have any bleed on that, if that's the reason why I chose it or not. I've picked up Armadillo Pack. Love it. Always loved. I've always loved Dillo Pack. I still have that colorless punishment. I think I picked it up in the Ossuary. Throw it in the backpack, roll through enemies, get that nice AoE damage. Again, it does pretty decent damage, but it's great with smaller enemies. It'll take them out in one hit. Take them out in a single hit. It's beautiful. So I got that. And then finally I took melee. So with melee, attacks are going to slow enemies down. Because I have such fast items. There we go. So that's what it is. There's our third legendary of the run, and like 2 back-to-back, which the odds of that are very slim. And again, I'm taking a moment here. I'm thinking about it. I grabbed that necklace because it has 15% damage reduction instead of 10. And I'm just like, man, this run is good. This is good, right? So what do we got? At least 2 good duels. We got the Philosopher's Stone, and we got 3 in the wild legendary drops. So this is a very, very good run. So thinking about it here, I'm like, no, I'm gonna recycle the Bible again, keeping the Hayabusa vibes there. That's what I wanted to finish with, and again, that's what I do finish with, which is great. Making some more money, throwing in a few extra bucks, right? Getting that purse a little fat, and I think I'm gonna get after the big food, I hope, before I leave. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab the big food, and I think we're gonna bounce. But yeah, so third mutation's melee, slows enemies down, and with a faster weapon, right? So what are we thinking about here? Hayabusa Gauntlets as I'm using it. Balance Blade is another one. Something like Abyssal Trident or Bone that has a lot of quick hits as you go through the attack sequence there. It's quite good. It's quite good. Be a little bit careful if you take it into bosses, because it can sort of the slow and the freeze. After you put 5 stacks of slow on an enemy, it'll freeze. The slow / freeze can affect boss timings if they're susceptible to crowd control. If they're susceptible to both of those. Yeah, so I got bleed on both of those, so I'm keeping them. That's amazing. It can just sort of slow things down, right? Literally slow things down, but also if you have muscle memory for certain attacks and patterns and all that stuff, could get in the way. So just a little bit of caution. I decided to not roll anything off here. I think I'm going to take these mutations through to the end. Not positive, but we'll find out. And let's see. Yeah, the damage, like as you can see here, like I was mentioning, before you get to that 40%, the damage isn't amazing. I can't remember if I flawless this or not. I don't think so. Yeah, there we go. So we got our first hit there. Not amazing, but once you start getting down to that 40%, which I think we're almost at with Timekeeper, there we go. So now the crits start coming. You can immediately see the difference there. Look at that. It shreds, right? So one of the things that you can do is you can take a different weapon, right? So let's say I had instead of Hayabusa boots, I had, I don't know, man, pick something sick. Pick something sick, baseball bat, whatever it is. If I had that in my second hand, I could have used that to do a bunch of damage to Timekeeper and then used Hayabusa Gauntlets to finish her off. But I chose to just punch my way through that boss fight. Curse Dracula's Castle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No way. Oh, man. So speaking of Castlevania, yesterday, I'm going to put this in the description. I highly recommend that you watch this. There is a new Castlevania game. I don't know how long it's been since the new Castlevania was announced. I can't even tell you. I don't know. Was it Harmony of Despair in like 2012? Was it the Shadows, whatever the hell it was? Like, I don't even remember what it was. But there is a new Castlevania game coming out. It's the 40th anniversary. And it's being developed by Evil Empire. So, clearly, I'm trying not to yell. Clearly, I'm very, very excited for this for a number of reasons. The trailer looks great. I have total faith in Evil Empire that they're going to do the right thing here. Going to make it a sick game. But the other part of it is, I remember maybe like 2 years ago, might have been around the time the Return to Castlevania DLC started, getting some press, or they started talking about it, or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was around then when it was either Steve or Matt from Evil Empire made a comment in an interview that they were going to resurrect some older franchises. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, there's going to be a new Castlevania. 100% there's going to be a new Castlevania. There's no way that they're going to be doing a Castlevania DLC. Steve or Matt drops that hint where they're like, hey, we're going to be doing something new with an old franchise, and then a new Castlevania doesn't come out. So that's what we're looking at. So buckle up, friends. Again, I'm going to throw that in the description. It's only like a minute and a half. I highly recommend that you watch it. For older, I don't mean older as in age, but older as in people who have enjoyed Castlevania for a while. I think you might dig it. Here we go. And I pick up T-Shock over Infantry Grenade. I just want like a little bit more damage. Feel like I got some decent use out of that. I didn't mention this, but I had Killer Instinct at one point, so melee kills were activating cooldown, so I was getting that Infantry Grenade off every couple of seconds. So it was actually pretty decent. And I think if you do the math, over the period of 12 seconds, Infantry Grenade actually tops off Powerful Grenade as far as damage, but you get Powerful Grenade off at once instead of 3 little hits or whatever. But anyways, watch the trailer, super sick. And the other part, this is incredibly selfish, and this is very much personal hubris and ego, arrogance, take your pick. I was looking at Castlevania, I'm like, this is proof of concept. I'm like, this is proof of concept where they're going to be doing a Castlevania thing at some point, and this is their way to not only like get into the vibe and to test things out, but also to show Konami that they can handle it. And I don't know, I'm not gonna make assumptions, I'm not gonna say yes or no, but there is a possibility that may be the reason why the Castlevania DLC ended up the way it was because they had to make it a little bit more Castlevania-y than Dead Cells-y in order to really get that concept together. Maybe that was a requirement from Konami, who knows. But either way, we got ourselves a new Castlevania. Unbelievable, right? An Evil Empire Castlevania. So I'm going to throw that trailer into the description. Again, it's only a minute and a half. I recommend you watch it. It's actually really funny because I forget. I sent the timestamps to some friends this morning. It might have been 56 seconds, 59 seconds, whatever it is. But they show a Medusa fight and they show a death fight, and I'm like, these are better versions of the the one that we got in Dead Cells, right? So check the trailer out. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know if there was a date on that trailer or not. But you should check it out and probably buy it when it comes out. I will say the trailer also said something about Motion Twin being an advisory team. I'm going to assume that's some legal whatever it is because they were involved with the Castlevania DLC. Who knows? Care about it if you want, ignore it if you want, doesn't matter. But yeah, so there you go. So I mean, care about or ignore the Motion Twin thing, not the game. So super stoked. And there we go. So long story short, I am not going to take I'm not going to take Cursed Dracula's Castle. Oh boy, here we go. So yeah, so I've kept you can see I kept the same mutations as before. We got ourselves melee, we got ourselves open wounds, we got ourselves acrobat pack with punishment in there, and everything's going well. Everything's going well. So sort of similar to like what I was saying earlier. I feel like for me, beginning of runs just aren't great. Again, I don't know if it's just the ones I want to publish. I don't know if it's the ones that I know I'm recording for the channel. Maybe it happens all the time, whatever. But like by the end, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, quad damage E-Whip. Does it do enough for me to take it? And it absolutely does not. I feel like by the time we get to this part in the run, right? Second boss, High Peak Castle area, distillery area, whatever it is, build's locked in. Build's locked in. We got good scroll count. You can see I'm killing enemies with 1 Telluric Shock. We're killing enemies with 1, maybe 2 punches. Yeah, see that? 1 punch, 2 punch, whatever it is. So this is the part, what else do I say? We're cruising. This is the part of the run where the build is pretty much cruising. Really funny, I just took damage when I said that. But as far as what we're looking at for damage and everything, we're in great shape. We're in great shape here. So I don't remember... We'll find out when we get there, right? I can't remember what happens at the end. I think I might take a trap and support into the 5DC boss fight or whatever. Not positive, but we'll see. But for now, build's locked in. We're doing pretty well. Got 4 full heals. I don't remember if we got food or not. There might be something on the map. We're gonna obviously, either before the end or at the end, we're gonna do another scan of the map just to see what's there. I think there also might be an extra food drop that I haven't gotten yet. Yeah, and you can see here I'm starting to scan a little bit, just saying like, all right, did I miss something in the walls? Did we get the food drop? Whatever, because I would prefer to not have to heal before I leave here. I may end up doing that because there is a food shop in the 5BC biome, but again, we'll figure this out together, even though I just did this like 3 or 4 days ago. We'll find out. But I'm really happy with the build. Again, couple hits here and there. I'm really glad I decided to take grappling hook. Oh, that was quick. That was close. I'm glad I decided to take grappling hook. Again, it's doing some really good work here. I think it's plus 300% damage. And even though that first hit from the gauntlets isn't insane, you know, that second hit, first hit, nice chunk of damage. Second hit, we got melee. What do you call it? Open wounds. Like we're in good shape. So coming through here, we got 2 of the keys, so we're going into the green room here. This is the last key. You can leave here with 2 keys if you choose. You don't need all 3, but if you do take the 3rd key, you'll be able to get another scroll on the way out. And there's 3 items in the last room, so you know you also have a choice of either picking up something new for the build or recycling to get a few more extra bucks before heading into Hand of the King. So you don't need to take 2, or excuse me, you don't need to take 3. You only need to take 2. But unless I'm in a rush for whatever reason, I feel like the only time I take 2 is if I'm trying to get to Dracula, so I can attempt to get the Vampire Killer achievement, which I actually still do not have on this save file. I played a 0 BC run earlier, just zipping through everything. I was using the... Yeah, I'm scanning for food here. I don't think we have anything. I used the gotta go fast or whatever it's called aspect. I used velocity. I'm just flipping through, and I found a vampire killer in High Peak Castle. I found it here, and I was like, awesome, because you can get to Dracula with 2 keys. I go in the extra room. I actually did, now that I'm remembering, I did get the third door. I went in there. I got the scroll. And I exited to the throne room instead of Master's Keep. So that was a waste of a run. That was a waste of a run. So anyways, two keys will get you to Hand of the King, will get you to Dracula. But I recommend doing the 3rd if you choose, because that way you get that extra scroll, a couple extra bucks, whatever it is. We made it. We made it through everything. We made it through everything before Hand of the King. High Peak Castle was fine. Again, took a couple big hits there, but the build's great. I might check. Oh, look at me. I'm just rocking. I'm rocking. I'm not going to slow down at all. There we go. We are going to heal. And we're heading into the Hand of the King fight. Excuse me. So let's see here. Let's see how it goes. So again, grappling hook. Going to get just a little bit of extra damage. I think I'm actually going to T-Shock over his head. Yep, I remember that because it's his skill. I'm like, how do you like it, buddy? What do you think, right? So there we go. So far the fight's going pretty well. I'm going to, as you saw, I kind of rolled through a couple of his attacks here. There you go. So that's exactly what I was talking about with melee. So if you noticed, his 3rd swing, 2nd and 3rd swing were both a little bit delayed. So that's why I took that hit there. Dilapac doing nice work on those bombs there, making it through the elite section, and I feel like the rest of this fight might not be too bad. Famous last words, but I think we yeah, you can see here we do pretty well. Couple more hits and we're off. So there you go. So there's the Hand of the King fight. This is the obligatory spoiler warning. So far, yeah, and I walk super slow. I do the boss walk as I'm leaving here because I knew I needed some time to talk about 5BC. But that's it. So that's the end of the non-spoiler content of the video. So if you haven't seen 5BC, you don't want to spoil anything, now's a good time to dip. If you choose to do that, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. But if you don't care about 5BC spoilers or you've been here before, let's hang in. We're going to be kicking the door open here as we go into spoiler territory. So into the 5BC level, here we go. That was really dramatic. I'm just like, into the 5BC level. Here we go. So yeah, here we go. I think right here I'm debating, do I want to change my mutations? I I don't remember what I do. I think I might just keep going with it because I'm really digging what I have. I know in my head here, I can see my thought process, right? I'm like, all right, do I want to take disengagement just for a little bit of safety? Do I want to take gastronomy? I purposely did not want to take Predator because it's so strong. I just wanted to, go through the level and not necessarily have a super easy time, because Predator, especially at this point in the game, I think Predator caps at 2.8 seconds per melee kill for invisibility, so it's almost like you can keep that up for a long time, and it's just sort of I don't know, man. It's just a very, very, very powerful and unbalanced mutation, and I didn't want to finish my run with that. Like I said, things are going pretty well, but I did want to at least keep it a little bit interesting. And it's funny too, because I feel like my general mindset, like I was saying with mutations, I do like to save a few bucks. So I wonder if that point too, I also wasn't thinking about how much money I had, where I could have just reset. I could have reset after every biome and I'd still be fine, but I chose not to. So we're keeping the same mutations. I think, did I take those into Clock Tower? Right? I think that was it. Yeah, because during Stilt Village, I had Killer Instinct and I forget what else. But yeah, I think I've had these mutations since Clock Tower. So I took them through that level, took them through Timekeeper, Hand of the King, High Peak Castle, and now the Astrolab. So, but it's a good setup. Again, it's a pretty good setup as far as just additional damage from the bleeding and open wounds, the utility of Acrobatic Pack, and then the ability to just slow enemies a little bit. So the one thing that I was worried about here is, what do you call them? The librarians, right? So the enemies that just kind of float above you and shoot their beam down. Those are the ones that I was worried about. But as you may have noticed, and you'll probably notice again, I think this continues to happen. The Hayabusa boots, it has that secondary, like wave of denial type thing that I was mentioning. Oh, we get 2 bad dual scrolls. That's a bummer. The area of effect is far enough away to hit the librarians, right? So if I do 3 kicks with the boots, that 3rd kick is going to hit the librarian and take them out of commission. So I don't think I do it here. There it is, right? Boom. Perfect. So when it comes to enemies here, that's my main concern, right? Because all of the other enemies, regardless of how tricky they are, right? You got your birds, you got your bombers, you got the magistrates of death, you got all these enemies, but they're all horizontal, right? So yes, the bombers do end up flying in the air. Those failed experiments, as you saw, have a little bit of verticality to them, but they're all horizontal. So you can kind of step back, you can let them jump to you, you can maneuver platforms, but librarians are only flying enemies. So even there, right, that enemy right below me is called the Magistrate of Death. Right below, even though he's technically floating, his positioning is horizontal and he can't float, he can't fly. But the librarians are tricky, man. Librarians are tricky. So I'm going to kick them out of the air. Beautiful. But that was my main concern, and I feel like that's always a concern for me coming through here, is how am I going to deal with these things, right? So in my 5BC guide, I ended up mentioning taking a skill in here that is specifically going to allow you to get vertical damage somehow. So the ones that I like, so of course we got grenades, right? We got powerful grenade, we got infantry grenade. If you're running brutality, if you're running tactics, Tesla coil is great. The oil grenade that I used, also great, right? Because you have that little bit of extra power, you get some nice range there. Survival, giant whistle's great. Death orb, also really helpful. So if you struggle with those things, think about that, right? Think about taking some sort of vertical skill in here with you, so that way you can take them out and not have to worry. Also, don't always slam down when you don't know what's beneath you. That could be, as you just saw, that could be a problem, right? So here we go. So this is what you do not want to happen. So I got lucky there as far as positioning. I did not get stuck. What you can do is, if you have a wall in front of you, you can continue to run into the wall. The librarians will get stuck. It's great. But if you have an enemy chasing you, that's a lot to handle there. So I lucked out not knowing, but I lucked out with that generation because there was so much horizontal space. As you saw, I was able to run through a couple doors. The bird wasn't able to catch up to me, and I was able to dodge through the librarian. So once I got into this little spot there, I was in good shape. So I was lucky with that. But yeah, always, if possible, find some sort of vertical thing to take in here, regardless of what your build is. So that way you don't have to worry about getting pinned down and hit by those librarians. They're not great. They're not great. I think what does Daniel say? He says something like, I forget what the phrasing is, but when he walks into the Astrolab, he's like, let's fuck up some dudes on books or something like that. That's so funny. It's so great. Man, so great. Daniel's one of the best. I know there's a lot of crossover here, so if you're watching this, there's probably a pretty good chance you also know Daniel-san. Dude's one of the best. Great guy, great videos. His commentary is fantastic. He hasn't put out a video in a bit, but his archive is awesome. Like I said, that Wish Adventures thing that he did was pretty cool, inspirational. But yeah, let's get rid of these dudes on books. Let's knock them off the map. So here we go. So we got our 2 keys, right? We got our 2 keys in the Astrolab here. That allows you to get into the tower. And then it's just the climb, right? I love the mixture of, what am I going to do here? Yeah, I think I'm just going to try to roll to avoid here. I love the design of the lab. I love the way the level layout is. I really like how it goes horizontally with like a little bit of like up and down through those little towers, and then once you get here, there's a climb. It really feels like you've earned this. It really feels like, all right, everything I've done in this run has got me here, right? It got me to this point where I'm at the last level. I'm climbing here. It's like, it's epic. There's a bunch of elites. There's a couple at the top of the tower, and there's a couple usually on the way up too. So really feels like the culmination of a journey. And there you go. So we're making our way all the way up to the top. So we got our last 2 elites here. 1 key opens the bottom, 1 key opens the top, and then when you come here, you need to kill both of these elites in order to get the last 2 keys that opens the door on top of us. So at the end of the level here, I don't think I'm going to do any enemy cleanup at this point. I don't think I'm going to recycle that. Maybe I am. Yeah, I guess I am going to recycle that. No, there we go. I'm like, no, I don't need to. It's like I got $1,000. I got $62,000 here. So I'm going to grab both of those, going to top off my health, going to get rid of my malaise, and then I'm going to look at the skill shop here. So again, T-Shock's been doing some good work. Grappling Hook has been fantastic, both in biomes and in boss fights, but I want to see what I can do here to try to get as flawless of a fight as possible. I'm going to grab one of my favorites. I'm going to grab Cleaver over T-Shock. Telluric Shock's not really going to do much in the boss fight, and I might grab another trap too. Oh, I think I take this. There we go. So we got a couple of traps. So this is one of my de facto builds, regardless of color. With survival, again, I don't really take survival that much, so not really taking traps into the 5BC boss with survival stuff, because those traps kind of like root and stun, etc. But brutality, tactics, man, give me a sinew slice or a flamethrower, cleaver, Tesla coil. I love it. So I'm doubling up on my turrets here. The flamethrower turret generates a toxic cloud around the trap, and it does, I think, yeah, it does 80% to poison, so we get some self synergy there. Cleaver, I think, also generates a toxic cloud. So let's look at our affixes, right? So toxic cloud. I don't know if I'm going to roll any of this off. I might try to get poison on this as well. Yeah, I think I'm shooting for plus 80 to poison here, so that way, oh, maybe I don't. Oh, here's what I'm doing. I think I'm re-rolling my mutations before I continue to roll all of my affixes, so that way I have enough money. Because like I said, I get a ton of money here. I'm going to blow through it. Let's see. Maybe not. That's it. All right, never mind. Never mind. It's got to be funny. It's got to be funny watching me commentate or listening to me commentate over video and not actually knowing what happens and having a thought process now that's completely different. Last spoiler warning, 5BC boss incoming. If you don't want to watch it, here's a good time to peace out. Again, thank you. Here we go. Boom. So here's my thought process, right? I got Tainted Flask to give me a bunch of extra damage for 20 seconds when I drink a flask. I have support for an extra plus whatever percentage it is. And then I get combo for extra percentage on the attack. So my goal here, I'm going to drop down both of these. I'm going to drink the flask, right? Get a little bit extra damage. I'm not even touching him. Look at that. Look at that trap damage, right? So that is passive damage, right? We're adding in the combo damage. We're adding in the Hayabusa, the damage from the gauntlets itself, and we already have 2 phases down. Look at this. We have 2 phases down. I think he's going to make it to the next room. I drink another flask to keep my damage topped off. This fight's going quick. This fight's going really quick. We got him at his 3rd drink. I'm going to drink again. Again, I have 1 more flask in my kit here. I don't need to heal. It's just for the extra damage. I'm going to avoid these attacks. I'm going to jump and roll through all of them. I'm going to pick up the flask, and I think, yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more evasion here, and the traps take him out. Boom. So we got ourselves a 5BC win. We got ourselves a flawless, shieldless collector fight. That went incredibly well. Shout out to the traps. Shout out to Synergy. Shout out to Tainted Flask. Shout out to support. Tainted Flask, if you have 3 or 4 flasks coming in here, that is an amazing mutation to take. It just gives you so much extra damage. When he drinks, you drink, and then you just push him over the top like you saw. So there we go. All right, friends, so we made it. We made it through the end of another 5BC run. Really glad with how this one turned out. Again, Hayabusa Boots is good. Hayabusa Gauntlets is good. Grappling Hook is good. All that good stuff. So again, thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks for listening to the commentary. Thanks for checking out the run. As always, I hope everyone's doing well. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Yeah, and that's it, friends. So as always, thanks for watching, and good luck out there.